Thanks for agreeing to this, Sarah. Are you comfortable?
Yes, I am.
Good. Do you need anything before we start? Like some water?
No, I'm okay. Just maybe. Do you have any more tissues?
Sure, just let me grab them. Here you go. I'll leave the box here with you.
Thanks.
So are you ready to start?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, why don't we start with how you're feeling right now?
Numb. Just like every other day. It never gets any easier.
I understand. What you have been through is tough.
It is tough. I mean, it's just hard.
Why don't you take some deep breaths and let's start at the beginning, okay? Is that okay with you? Let's start with Tom.
Alright. What can I say about Tom? I really miss him, Oh god, I really do. It's been so long, but I still can't stop thinking about him. It hits just so much, it really kills me inside. It's the little things, It's like death by a thousand cuts. Like when I pull some clothes from the wardrobe, and his cologne would still linger there. I would find myself cold on the floor sobbing for the next 10 minutes. Or when I used to watch TV on the couch, and the actor we both make fun of would be on. I turn around to make a joke, and then remember Tom's not really there. Throughout the day, I just can't stop thinking about him. Something would happen, and I'll make this mental note to tell Tom later as if he would love it. Before remembering he won't be home waiting. I still lie in bed at night having conversations with him about my day, even though it's just me doing all the talking. I hate myself for doing all this to myself, all this torture. Why can't I just let it go, On good nights, I might be able to cry myself to sleep. On bad nights, I just lie awake, wishing and I was asleep and would never wake up again. Luke was the only thing that kept me going.
Luke's your son, right?
Yeah, that's right. Luke's the only thing that helped keep me sane and focused. It's like, you know how they say amputees can still feel an itch after their arm or leg is gone? Like phantom limbs. It's like that. Your senses and logic may tell you there's nothing there, but you can still feel itching, and you can't scratch it. Except it's not a limb that's been torn away, but half of you. That part that used to make you feel whole, where once you felt completeness, you're just left with this emptiness instead. You know it's not there, but you can still sense something, and it frustrates the hell out of you that you can't just ignore it, nor reach out and grab it either. You know what I'm saying? I still feel Tom around.
Yeah, I hear you. How long were you married to Tom?
Well, we were married for 11 years, though we knew each other for much longer, almost 19 years. Though we didn't start dating until 3 years after that. We found out he had cancer about 4 years after getting married. That was about a year after we had Luke. He hadn't been feeling well, but he had been putting off seeing his doctor. There was just so much to do in those early days, starting a new life again, a new life together. It got worse when I was pregnant. Tom had even less time, busy making sure our bills got paid. Besides, he said, the last thing he wanted was for me to be worried what. It wouldn't be good for the baby. But do you know what? What really kills me? Thinking back on it, it's the one thing I feel very angry at Tom for, but I feel so guilty for being angry. The doctor said if only he saw them sooner, they may have detected the cancer earlier. Then it may have not spread. Then it may have been operable. Then he might still be alive, and that. I'm sorry. I just.
We can pause and take a break if you would like.
No, I'm okay. Well, not really, of course. But you get used to it, I guess.
Are you sure? Okay then. So you were telling me about Tom?
Yeah, it was hard seeing him waste away. He was one to shy away from a fight, but halfway through his chemo, you could just see his spirit melting away. You know, I still remember how he looked at the first time he held Luke in his arms. I thought it was the most beautiful I ever seen him. It had those big teary eyes and this great big smile. He was so sure that Luke was going to be a sports star like his dad. He couldn't wait for Luke to be old enough for them to throw a ball around in the yard together. By the time Luke was old enough though, Tom was already too weak to even lift the ball, let alone go outside. He would just lay in bed all day, too exhausted and weak to do anything. Instead of playing sport together, father and son played pen and paper games together instead, like dots and boxes or tic-tac-toe. Luke really loved playing Hangman though. It was his favorite. He loved guessing letters at silly words or phrases his father would come up with. And he really loved drawing that little Hangman figure. He drew that a lot. He was terrible at the game, but it didn't matter. All that mattered was his dad loved playing with him too. I would sometimes find them both asleep in bed, covered in paper. Tom would get tired easily and had this habit of dozing off. But rather than wake his dad, Luke would decide it was his nap time too. He would crawl right next to Tom and fall asleep hugging him. It was a real Kodak moment, you know. I really wish there was a way it could have lasted forever. If not for me, then at least Luke's sake. But life doesn't work that way, right? That day came when Luke woke up, but Tom didn't. When I found them both, he was holding on to Tom, hugging him tightly. He was crying and pleading his dad not to go. It can't be time yet.
I love you, Dad. Please don't go. We still haven't finished our game yet,
he cried. You know, despite everything, I don't think there ever was a day that Luke felt his dad disappointed him. Except that last day, because Tom left without saying goodbye.
So it was pretty hard for both of you, understandably. How did you cope?
I don't think we did. Not really anyway. My therapist suggested that I take up writing, to keep a diary. Every time I thought about Tom and how much I missed him, I should write something down. What I was thinking, how I was feeling, get it out of my system and all. You know what's funny? I filled up 3 of those journals in the first few months, just thinking about silly things I remember, all these things I wanted to say to Tom. You know, we had already known each other for so long. We knew each other so well, and could finish each other's sentences. We were always open with each other. But you'd be surprised just how much there was still left to say. There's still so much more I wanted to say. So much I wish I had the chance to tell him before he died. And the really funny thing is, I would give anything to talk to him again. Sometimes you just have to be careful of what you wish for though. Well, well, I guess so.
And what about Luke?
He became very quiet and sullen. He kept holding on to that paper pad and wouldn't let it go. He would spend hours looking through all these old pages of doodles and games. I once asked him if he would feel better if we played the game like he used to with Tom. He just shook his head. For him, that pad contained all the happy memories of the times he had with his dad, all the doodles they drew together, all the games of tic-tac-toe, and that one never completed the game of Hangman. It wasn't the photos of what Tom looked like before Luke was born, or that gaunt, tired figure lying in bed that Luke remembers Dad by. It was those games. To him, it didn't feel right for anyone else to finish it. It would be like disintegrating the memories of Dad. I guess I could appreciate that.
But that changed, right? Your reports say...
Yes, it changed. After about 4 months after Tom's death, Luke bounced back to normal. I just thought it was because children are more resilient, you know? Sometimes they recover a lot quicker than we adults do. He stuck to his room most of the time, but at least he was smiling and cheerful again. I was cleaning his room one day and found his notepad. He had flipped through each page with me dozens of times before, retelling his memories of Tom for each one. It was more real to him than the photo albums we had. I sat down on the bed and flipped through them again. I got to the last page with that unfinished Hangman game, except he had completed it now. And it wasn't the last game anymore. There were dozens of pages filled with new games with Hangman. I wasn't sure what to make of it. When Luke got home from school, I asked him about it. He was a bit angry, a bit scared, and a whole lot evasive about it. But he eventually said he would tell me if I promised not to get mad or punished him.
So, what's going on?
His best friend at school, had seen how sad Luke was about the death of his father. He had given Luke a present one day to cheer him up. It was an EEG board stolen from his sister. He told Luke it was speaking with the dead, so now he could talk of his dad. He was told not to tell anyone so they wouldn't get in trouble. Luke told me he had been using it to talk of his dad, and they have been playing Hangman ever since.
Well, how did you react to that?
I didn't know what to think at first. I was skeptical, shocked, horrified, all at once. Part of my mind was flashing warning lights saying it's dangerous to be playing with spiritual forces we don't understand. Another part was saying it's complete horse shit. But all that noise was drowned by only the question I really care about. Did it work? I was desperate. I wanted to talk to Tom badly. So badly. Just one last time. I would have given anything for a chance, even if I did end up looking a bit foolish. It was a price I would gladly pay 1,000 times over if it worked. So after Luke had gone to sleep, I took out the EEG board and set it on the dining table. It seemed like such an innocent thing, you know? Just this faded whiteboard. Just with a fold right down the middle, and had 2 rows of letters from A to Z at the top, then a row of numbers from 0 to 9 at the bottom. The top corners had the words yes and no. The bottom corners said hello and goodbye. You have seen before and know how it works, right? It also came with this glass ring just slightly larger than the letters on the board. So I placed my finger on it and waited. Nothing happened. I pushed the ring around a bit with my finger, It glided smoothly on the board in whichever direction I pushed it. I sat there staring at the board for several minutes, feeling very stupid. Why would I even think this would work? What was I thinking? Eventually, I decided to try again. Just in case. You never know, right? So I touched the ring again. Very gently this time, with as little pressure as possible. I whispered, "Are you there, Tom? Please let me know if you're there." Nothing. Then the ring suddenly moves. Slowly at first, then faster. It moved to the hello in the corner. I gasped and let go of the ring. I must have just sat there and stared at that thing for like an hour, as if it was possessed. Well, I guess it was, kinda. I placed my finger on it again. I asked, "Is that you, Tom?" The ring edged up to the yes in the corner. "Okay then, tell me what's my favorite color." Without hesitating, the ring went to T, then slid to the next letter, U, then double back to R, stopping briefly before continuing to Q. I remember my heart was beating so quickly, I could just feel my finger pulsing with the blood pumping hard through my veins as it kept a hold on the ring. I was making such small movements. Was it really happening? Or was it just my subconscious moving the ring through my finger? But it didn't need to finish spelling Tokyo's for me to know I had the right answer. So I asked another question. A harder one, which only Tom and I would know. Where did I get the scar at the back of my head? The scar was hidden under my hair. No one, except Tom, even knew about the accident that created it. Venus. By the time the ring was over the letter C, I could barely see the letters anymore. My eyes were just so wet with tears. The impossible was happening. It was Tom. And we were talking. I told him I loved him and missed him so much, and that not a moment went by I wasn't thinking of him. My finger was still on the ring as it started moving. Not alone. Tom was always with me, watching over me. No, I don't feel so alone now you're here. As soon as I finished my sentence, the ring was moving again. Not much time. I blinked. What did he mean? Was he trying to say we didn't have enough time together before he died? Or that he doesn't have much time before he needs to go again? No, you left us too soon. Luke misses you too, I said. Look after Luke. I am, and how well. It's been so hard without you here, you know. Or are you saying you have been looking after him? Because he says you have been playing Hangman with him. I waited for a response, but the ring didn't move. I waited and waited, but didn't respond to any more questions that night. Eventually I went to bed. But you know what? For the first time for as long as I can remember, I was actually smiling. It may only have been a few words, but to me it was everything. Did you try to contact Tom again? Of course I did. Every day I could. It was my obsession. Every opportunity I had, I was sitting there with the Ouija board. I would do anything to hear more from him. And he did get in contact several times over the weeks. I would be sitting by myself with the board set up, like I did every night. I kept whispering, "Are you there?" every few minutes until the ring finally started to move again. I'm always here. It was very slow. It was a very slow way to talk, but I treasured every moment of it. We talked about Luke and how he was doing at school. We talked about our honeymoon. We talked about the dates we used to go on together. I told him 1,000 times how much I still love him. I yearned for you. We talk about everything and anything. It was just sometimes surreal. Sometimes it was even passionate. There was some funny ones, you know. It seemed Death didn't dial his ladder bow. He once even spelled out, "I watched you shower." Another time I told him I didn't want to go to sleep because the bed seemed empty without him. I missed his warmth and waking up next to him. I lie beside you when you sleep. It was almost enough to make me go to bed. Can we talk about what happened that day you found Luke in his room? Oh, that. Yeah, I guess. That's what this is really all about, isn't it? That's why you're here. I figured we would get to this part eventually. If it's not too hard to talk about. It's fine. I have gone through it 1,000 times before with the police. What's one more? Like I said, I'm numbed now. It's still a blur, really. It sounds cliche, but it really was like a dream. It's like your mind tries to absorb so much of what is going on, to try and understand it, then it gets jammed up. Everything just happens in slow motion and bits and pieces just get dropped and forgotten, you know? I honestly don't remember much about what I did that day. Just that I had finished making dinner and called for Luke to come down. He usually yells back to me, tell me he's coming. Even if I have to yell again every few minutes until he just shows up. He didn't respond that day. I eventually tired of yelling and went to his room to get him. He was lying face down on the floor. His neck was twisted at an odd angle. His eyes were staring blankly at the wall. Near one hand was his pad and pen, and that damn cursed Ouija board near his other. I yelled out his name and rushed over to him. I held him in my arms. He wasn't breathing at all. His head lowered on the shoulder. His neck was bruised, purple, and snapped. I was holding him tightly, panicking, trying to get him breathed again. I just kept screaming his name over and over, hoping he could hear me. I just held him in my arms. My baby. My poor precious baby. His limp, lifeless body. What happened to him? I was hugging him tight and kissing him. I refused to let him go. Not after losing Tom. I couldn't lose Luke too. I was rocking back and forth with my boy in my arms. My eyes landed on the pad he was scribbling on. He had been playing Hangman again. I glanced at the words. "You were never alone," said the one at the top. "I read your diary," said another. "I am the Hangman." Further down the page, I had a sickening realization that it may not just be Tom that I've been communicating with. You were warned. At least not after the first night. A sharp chill began stabbing my heart. Now, you are too late. The last game at the bottom, a completed drawing of the Hangman figure scrawled beside it. I screamed that day until my chest burst, and there was nothing left inside me. It was the last thing I remember. Inside, I'm still screaming, you know. I don't think it will ever end. Sarah is currently serving a life sentence for the murder of her son, Luke. She did not contest the guilty verdict and has no plans to.